Thanks, Dan. You know, in getting ready for council meetings and getting ready for tonight, I always try to do a little research. And as I was doing a little research for this, I was up in Lost Landing and kind of checking out the harbor. I was walking around some rocks and I saw this little metal container stuck in the rocks. And so I pulled it up and it was kind of old and dirty, so I kind of started cleaning up. And this genie pops out and he says, since you freed me, I have to grant you one wish. And I said, well, how about peace in the Middle East? And he said, ooh, you know, that's been 60 years and millions of people involved and a lot of hate and discontent. How about something I can manage? And I said, how about solving the peninsula's water situation? And he thought for a minute and then he said, can we talk about that Middle East thing again? So, you know, it's really a problem. Now, what I want to talk a little bit about is just some generalities about desal, the Moss Landing project, and, you know, the role of the city. Now, my job actually was made easier by a letter in the July 6th Cedar Street Times. My job was actually made easier. They're totally opposed to it. And they really did a very thoughtful letter and laid out everything that you know, could be a negative. So their points were basically that it's not the city's job to do this. We're a small city with our own problems. For the EIR, the city would be required to coordinate with all the other cities, too much work for city staff. The $130 million cost. Desal plants are not common in California, and it's beneficial only to the developer. So let me take those points a little bit as we go through this. And I'd like to take the last one first. Because to me, this is you know, about water, it's about leadership, it's about all of our well-being. This is about you and your lifestyle. You know, we all need water, whether it's for washing, for cooking, sanitation, and I know I certainly need it in the morning about 7:30 for coffee. Now, we all benefit from having water available to us. That's homeowners, businesses, the hotels, everybody, we all need it. It's very important to us. Here in Pacific Grove, we right now have 9 people on our water waiting list, just in PG alone. I think it's 5 of those want to add a bathroom and 4 want to build on lots that they own. They're waiting for water. Can you imagine having a piece of property and you can't even build because you can't get water? Okay, the EIR itself, they're absolutely correct. You know, if this project gets attacked on anything, it's going to be the EIR. And that's the point that we made with Nader all the way through this discussion, that this has to be done right. It has to be done by the city. We have to have city staff and experts involved to make sure that it's done right, that it's clean, accurate, and that it's done absolutely appropriately. But, you know, how about an engineering feasibility study first? And that's what the mayor's JPA, you know, the Monterey Peninsula Regional Water Authority, is looking to do. They're looking at, I don't know if they've actually issued an RFP. I think the last meeting they have issued an RFP. Okay, for a company to come in and take a look at the 3 projects and see, okay, you know, which one is best? What are the good things and the bad things and the flaws in the programs? All right. And you know, and it's kind of interesting. Let me give credit for another report here. The Hometown Bulletin had an article with a headline: Water Authority rejects AGA request. Pacific Grove approval on hold. Well, we're still talking about the approval. So they rejected AGA's request. So what was his request? His request was to withdraw his proposal from the TAC because he felt some of the people were biased against it. And the Water Authority, the Water District said, no, you've got one of 3 projects that's viable and we're not going to reject it. Okay, that's, you know, kind of a good thing. You know, I don't have anything against Cal-Am. You know, we're the ones who put ourselves, the people here in Monterey County, who put ourselves in this situation with water. We've, you know, turned down reservoirs and dams and previous desal projects and all of that. So now we have to deal with it. And I think that Cal-Am could do a great job, but I'm not particularly enamored of their funding mechanism, which is, you know, the ratepayers. You, me, Dan, everybody else here who would pay the money before they even build the project. And that's if it's legal. And right now, you know, the county's suing Cal-Am and who knows what else is going to happen. We don't know how many years all that's going to take to work out, and we only have until 2017. We're a small city, we can't do this. The Weissmans are absolutely right, we can't do this. We're not going to ask Mike Zimmer and the boys to run down to, or run up to Moss Landing to build a desal plant. So who are we going to hire? We're probably going to hire the same construction companies that Cal-Am would. Once the funding gets in place, we look at the same companies that would build the project for anybody else. Desal plants are not common in the U.S., and that's true. Part of that is the U.S. has been extremely blessed with lots of natural resources, including water. And we have rivers and lakes, and like most countries don't have. But that's changing a little bit too. Right now there are over 20,000 desal plants operating around the world, and every day they create 3.5 billion gallons of water. Tampa Bay Water in Florida has a 25 million gallon a day desalination plant. It costs about $108 million. And the environmentalists have noticed a benefit by having that plant running, because the water tables in the marshes and the natural areas are rising, and the natural areas are getting restored. Just down the coast from us in Carlsbad, just north of San Diego, is a 56,000 acre feet per year water plant. That's 50 million gallons a day, folks. That's a lot of water. It's going to be 5 times the size of the one that we have here. We're talking about 5,000 to 10,000 acre feet. It's really not that big a plant. The original solution here was the regional desalination plant, but that's probably dead now. The Marina Coast Water District doesn't believe it, but I think everybody else is pretty sure it is. I'm not sure if we've gotten the coroner's report yet. Although it's dead, we still face a state-mandated cutoff, so we have to do something. And I think Monterey, I think Pacific Grove has risen to the challenge. And we have talked with people from other cities, Monterey, Seaside, some other cities, who are very interested in this. It's not the whole city behind it yet, but we'll work on it. The thing is, even in the U.S., we're starting to see fights about water. You've got Georgia and Florida fighting about a river that goes from Georgia down into Florida, and Georgia's trying to keep the water in Florida, saying, no, 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 we have an agreement. I'm sure everybody's heard of the Colorado River Compact in California. California's been taking more than its share of water, but now the other states are saying, whoa, wait a minute, we need that now. We need to stop. So there are issues. So we're going to see more and more desal plants around the country, mostly in coastal areas, of course, and we're going to see more and more of them in California. Costs in the city. Okay, my goal is that this doesn't cost the city anything, and that was part of the negotiations that Dan was involved with, and Mr. Frucci, who's in the back there, trying to hide, we're involved with. Nader has to pay the city's cost. We do an estimate, he gives us the money, and then we go forward with the next project. So if we don't get the money, we don't go forward. If we see something that doesn't work, we don't go forward. So I think that we are, we're playing it pretty safe. I think we're protected. Why should PG do this? Shouldn't it be the job of the mayor's JPA? Yeah, that's nice, and I have some hopes for them, but they have some funding and organizational problems already. So I'm a little bit worried about them. The Monterey Regional Water Management District, they should have a role in this, but their funding is under attack. They won their funding through the Proposition 218 mechanism, but now they may get sued over that. Cal-Am should be involved. Yeah, but they distribute our water and they want to build a plant. Probably a good one, but at what cost? The PUC, they're watching and waiting. Marina Coast Water Management, whew, what a big help they've been. So Pacific Grove rose to the challenge. We have an individual who has infrastructure in place, has permits in place, has a huge chunk of land. We only need to buy a portion of it, or at least a portion of it, to make this whole thing work. And he's willing to provide the initial funding. I think that's a win-win deal, and that's why, to be honest with you, when they first looked at me, Rudy, do you want to be part of this water committee? I was a little bit skeptical, but I thought, well, okay, something like this needs some adult supervision. Sorry, Dan. But, you know, I'm a convert. I think that there is something there, and I think it could work. You know, any project can work. You just throw enough time and money into it. But we have a limited amount of time, and we'd like to keep the cost down. But I think we can make this work.